All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest, most challenging questions in business today. How in the world do you manage these massive, game-changing AI projects when the technology itself seems to change every single week? It's a huge challenge, so let's get into a framework for success.
And we're going to start with something I call the $4 trillion paradox. See, on one hand, you have this unbelievable promise of an AI-driven productivity revolution. But on the other hand, the road to get there is just absolutely littered with failed projects. And that, right there, is the core tension every single leader is dealing with.
So first, let's just talk about the size of the prize. We're talking about, according to McKinsey, a potential $4.4 trillion in productivity value. And that's not a one-time thing. That's every single year. To put that into perspective, that's more than the entire GDP of a country like Germany. This isn't just some small improvement. This is a fundamental, historic economic shift we're looking at.
Okay, but here's the flip side, the harsh reality check. A staggering 70% of all digital transformation projects, they fail. They just don't hit their stated goals. So the real question becomes, how do you even begin to capture a piece of that multi-trillion-dollar prize when the odds seem so stacked against you?
Well, to answer that, you really have to understand what makes these projects so uniquely difficult. And it all boils down to one simple truth. Managing an AI initiative is nothing, and I mean nothing, like running a traditional IT project. The old playbooks, the old rules, they just don't apply anymore.
The problem really comes from three unique challenges that create a kind of perfect storm. First, the technology is evolving faster than any project plan could possibly keep up with. I mean, what's cutting edge today is old news in 6 months. Second, there's a fundamental uncertainty. You often don't really know what the AI is capable of until you're deep into building it. And third, these projects are just organizationally complex. They demand coordination across silos that maybe have never talked to each other before. It's a mess.
And this, right here, gets to the absolute core difference in mindset. Traditional IT is all about predictability. You have fixed deliverables, known timelines, you know exactly what you're building. AI projects? They're experiments. They're all about rapid adaptation and dealing with outcomes that you couldn't possibly have predicted from the start.
So how do you manage that kind of chaos? Well, it's definitely not with one single, giant, all-or-nothing bet. The real answer lies in building the right kind of strategy, one that carefully balances risk with the potential for those huge rewards.
The smartest organizations, they think like venture capitalists managing a portfolio. They don't just bet on one thing. They have a ground game of small, safe bets to build momentum and learn. They take roof shots on those medium-risk projects that have a really clear business impact. And at the same time, they dedicate some resources to the moonshots, those crazy, high-risk ideas that could completely redefine their entire industry. You've got to have a mix.
And this brings us to what might be the most important rule of all. It is never, ever about the tech for its own sake. A recent PwC report put it perfectly. The goal isn't to do AI. The goal is to solve a business problem. AI is just the tool you might use to solve it. You start with the problem, always.
But here's the thing. Even with a perfect strategy, a lot of these AI projects still fail. So why is that? It's because, at the end of the day, success isn't really about the technology. It's about the people.
I love this quote. It's such an honest admission from a CIO at a massive Fortune 100 company. It just reveals this critical truth. The biggest indicator of whether you'll succeed or not isn't your algorithm, it's not your data, it's not your budget, it's your company culture and the readiness of your team. So, how do you get your organization ready? Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all training program. The really smart approach is tiered. You need universal AI literacy for everyone, just the basics. Then you need deeper role-specific training for people whose jobs are being directly changed. You need to develop internal AI champions to lead the charge in their departments. And crucially, you need strategic fluency for the executives who are making those big-picture decisions.
And look, this investment in people, it pays off, big time. Companies that build out these comprehensive AI training programs report an ROI that is 3 times greater than companies that only focus on the tech. Just think about that for a second. What other investment can you make in your business right now that promises a 3x return? It's huge.
And finally, the last piece of the puzzle. None of this, the strategy, the people, none of it works without the right kind of leadership. An AI transformation is just too big, too complex, and frankly, too disruptive to just happen on its own. It absolutely requires visible, engaged, and responsible leadership right from the very top.
This is a fantastic metaphor from a Harvard Business Review analysis. Executive sponsorship isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the oxygen your project needs to survive. Leaders have to do more than just champion the vision. They have to be out there actively clearing the organizational roadblocks that are, inevitably, going to pop up. But real leadership in this space goes way beyond just cheerleading. It's about setting up the guardrails. It means creating an ethics board, making sure data governance is rock solid, actively breaking down those departmental silos, and constantly monitoring for bias and unintended consequences. That's the difference between just innovating and innovating responsibly.
Okay, so we have covered a ton of ground here. The challenges, the strategy, the people, and the leadership. So now let's pull it all together and distill it down into a simple, clear framework that can guide your path forward.
Here it is, the 3 keys to AI success. It really is this simple. Number 1, start small. Use manageable pilot projects to learn and build momentum, and then scale the heck out of what works. Number 2, invest as much, if not more, in your people and your culture as you do in the technology itself. And number 3, lead with a really clear vision. But, and this is key, maintain the agility to adapt as you go.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. The AI revolution isn't coming anymore, it is here, right now, and it is reshaping every single industry on the planet. And that means you really have a choice. You can either lead the change, or you can be led by it. The only question left is, which path is your organization going to choose?